Welcome back to Community Hotline, and thank you for staying with us. We have an important segment coming up here. We're going to be talking with an organization called A Village for One. And with us representing A Village for One, we have Austin Burris. You are the co-founder. Welcome. Thanks for being here, Austin. And Mike Eichenberger, you are a board member for A Village of One. Yes. Or Village for One. Let me get that right. Maybe I could start with you, Austin, and tell us what this organization is about and why you founded this organization.
Yeah. So A Village for One was incorporated in October of 2012. Cassie and I have worked with youth that have been commercially sexually exploited here in the local area for about 10 years.
And tell us who Cassie is. She's your partner in this?
Yes. Cassie is my co-founder. And also we've known each other for about 15 years. Wow. And so our paths crossed once we've finished school, which Cassie has gotten she's a licensed clinical social worker as well as a registered nurse. And I'm finishing up my doctorate in clinical psychology. So we both have mental health and physical health backgrounds. And so we've worked in community mental health for a number of years. And about 10 years ago, these youth were just seen as naughty youth. They were seen as runaway youth, promiscuous youth. And we knew that something else was going on. And so as we learned about it, as we became more educated and kind of sought out some of the information, we realized that these children were actually being trafficked and exploited here in the local area.
So as opposed to what most people thought, they were just bad kids.
Yeah.
It wasn't their fault in most places, in most situations.
Exactly.
So go ahead.
Yeah.
And tell me where you went from there.
Yeah. So after working in community mental health for a number of years and working directly with youth that have been sexually exploited, and we actually worked in programs. Cassie helped develop one of the community mental health programs to be able to work directly with these youth and provide them with mental health care. And a lot of awareness has been built around children that are trafficked locally. And these are kids that are raised here and born here.
This could be our neighbors.
Yeah, it's not necessarily kids from other countries, which a lot of people think about when they think of sex trafficking, but it's actually our local youth. And so we kept running into barriers as far as where do these kids go once we do have them come into services, once they enter mental health, once the police end up picking them up.
What next?
What next? And so we could do as much mental health treatment as we want. We could have the sexual assault resource center provide advocacy for our youth legally, but we ran into the housing barrier. And so there wasn't really anywhere for them to go. And so Cassie and I kept waiting for something to come up where somebody would actually have a home for them where they could heal. And since that wasn't, and so that wasn't happening. And so we ended up actually starting A Village for One. And we feel that all children are priceless. And so bringing our community together to really unite and help uplift and support and heal our youth. And ultimately, we'd like to build a therapeutic home for these youth to be able to serve them in the local area.
Like the picture that you have that says not for sale. These kids look so young.
Yeah.
So what are the ages of kids that you've been seeing? And
So the average age of entry is 11 to 14 years old, a little bit younger for boys, and about 12 to 14 for females. And so these youth are very young. In Portland, there was a recent Portland State study of kids that are actually being served by the Department of Human Services as well as the Sexual Assault Resource Center. And the youngest age of child that was being served by those agencies was 8 years old.
Wow. It's pretty mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so A Village for One, then what exactly do you do? Is this a location? Is it a place where these kids go to live?
Yeah, so right now we're in the fundraising stages. Our main goal is to build a therapeutic home. With Cassie and my background of actually working directly with these youth, we understand a lot of their needs, but they really need their basic needs met of shelter and safety, food, someone to care for them.
Right.
And so primarily our goal is to be able to build them a home where they can get therapy, they can get chemical dependency treatment, they can get the physical health care that they haven't had for so long. And so that is our ultimate goal. And in that process, we do a lot of awareness and outreach, and we speak to our local community. We go into some schools and be able to talk to the youth there. And we really like to be able to incorporate our community because it really needs to show the kids that they're valued and that they are truly priceless.
I couldn't agree more. Now, Mike, this is kind of where you come in because you mentioned the fundraising. So you are you work a lot with the fundraising and the events that help support the organization. So tell me about that.
I do. I'm Cassie's father. That's I get referred to often as being the father of Cassie as opposed to Mike, but I appreciate that. I deal with events. I do it both professionally, but I've carried it over into this to this as well too. I really came into this pretty unaware of the depth of it. People can sit and debate and argue over ages, at what point things are appropriate between adults and stuff. But in this case, we're dealing strictly with children. And that caught my attention. Then I did some reading, and I realized also it's typically males and similar to my age that are the ones who are involved in it or were doing the purchasing. And so it caught my attention. And then the girls began to explain to me what they wanted to do, and I got excited about it, is what I did. So we are involved at various levels, contacting professional groups as well. We do a fundraiser once a year. Our first year was last year out at Rock Creek Country Club. We're going to do another one this year on the 18th of October. We're looking for donations. We're looking for persons and individuals to be involved in that. But mostly it's just to become an awareness is what it is actually, and especially for men. That's probably my priority is to get men involved in this, because these are the age of your daughters. These are the age of that's the issue.
Anybody who's a parent, I mean, as a dad, I mean, my gosh, it's just terribly frightening to think about that.
Yeah. I come at it from probably three ways. One is to help them raise the money, which is needful, and I'm helpful there. One being a male, that it's predominantly we're the purchasers, in that sense of the word. So I come at it from that direction, that men would be very aware of this, because I think we have a voice that we need to. And thirdly is just really a deep sense of belonging to a cause at this point in time, with very, very vulnerable children that are the same age as a lot of men that raise their daughters. I've raised 2 daughters. And once it catches your attention, it's hard to let go, because it's just a disgusting, awful kind of a thing that goes on.
And those kids need advocates.
Yeah, they do. And I think they need more men involved. There's lots of women involved in the industry of helping, but not a lot of men that are involved in standing up. And so that's a priority of mine.
So what do you suggest for if a man is listening to this and he's thinking, oh my gosh, this is something I could get behind? What would you?
It's a great question, because the girls have just challenged me in the last, probably the last month or so. My daughter is, Dad, you need to start. There are other organizations, other states where men have, come alongside of organizations like A Village for One, but there's not one in Oregon. And I'm challenged to do that in the next few months, to get men involved. They don't have to know a lot. They don't have to just be able to stand up and have a presence. So in the process, if they would like to, they can contact A Village for One's website, and that information will come to me. I am going to begin to put a push on here within the next few months to actually start an organization. We're going to have a name for ourselves. That hasn't come up, so I'm open to whatever that is.
So you get some people that are interested, maybe they can all
brainstorm
and figure it out.
Absolutely.
That's great. I like that you're going to take it from that angle.
I'm excited.
Because, women tend to be the nurturers, and we always take care of everything. But the men, they need to be in on that.
We find it really valuable for men holding men accountable and really being able to talk about the issue amongst each other.
Yeah. So you have a banquet and auction, correct?
Right, on August 18th.
October 18th.
Yeah. October, excuse me. October 18th. At
6
Rock
to
Creek
10
Country
p.m.
Club.
Okay. And so if there's a website if people want to find out about attending that, or if they want to donate, or if they just want to be involved, or just go because they support that.
Absolutely.
So everything is on avillageforone.org. You can register, you can sponsor a table at avillageforone.org. All the registration's up there. You can donate, you can become a monthly member. You can also find our awareness apparel as well. I have something that I could show here.
So this is something that can be purchased.
So we have hoodies, we have t-shirts, and they all say they have a barcode with price lists. Like you saw before, the not for sale is something that we're very passionate about, and that all children are priceless.
I like that.
And it says, I always wondered why somebody didn't do something about that, and then I realized I am somebody. And so I think it's really important to recognize that our community get involved and realize that you are somebody and can make a difference by getting involved in any way that you can, whatever your gifts may be, your talents, or your financial contributions.
Yeah, because not everybody can contribute financially. If they can, that's great. But if not, just the spreading the word and the awareness of it. Because you mentioned how the awareness is greater now than it used to be. But, we hear now all about that, the I-5 corridor, how it's a great, place. But it's really right in our own communities. A lot of times, just people that we live around, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
not always people just coming through and
No.
snatching up your kids. So when you're working with these kids, what's their greatest need? Is it the safety, or can you even say one greatest need? I mean,
I think all their needs deserve to be met, and I think that really starting from their basic needs, because once they get their basic needs of that food, the shelter, being taken care of, and having that safety, they can then go on to really be able to heal.
Right.
But until that need is met, they can't really do much beyond
Yeah,
that.
that makes sense.
So even providing them with meals or providing them with some sense of safety is really important at this point. And then they can go on to the healing and the nurturing that we'll hopefully provide with this home. And that's what we're looking for.
So do you have an area where you're thinking about building this, or have you even gotten to that point yet? Is this
Yeah, so we do have an area primarily in Clackamas County, and it's a little bit removed from the city just so it's a little bit safer for our youth. And it'll of course be a confidential location.
Right.
We do have one shelter in the actual Portland area that serves our youth right now with about 7 beds that serves males and females. But we need
That's probably
far beyond that.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably just a
Yeah.
drop in the bucket of what you
And
could.
just a portion of the youth in Portland alone, with that Portland State study, about 469 youth were identified just in services with the Department of Human Services and the Sexual Assault Resource Center. And that's not all the youth, because it's way under identified as far as how many youth are actually being exploited here in Portland.
I don't know if this is an inappropriate question or not, but would you have words of advice for parents who are parents of kids to, how to help protect them, or how to talk to them about that?
I think the most important thing is realizing that they really need support. These youth are not just being naughty, because a lot of times they present as being naughty and defiant, and they'll yell, and they're really difficult to deal with because they've been traumatized so much. And just to think, if a youth is sold 5 times a day for 5 days a week for 5 years, they're raped 6,000 times.
Oh, my Lord.
And really the reality is that they are sold about 10 to 15 times a night, and they don't get days off, about 7 days a week. And so if you
That's
expand that
heartbreaking.
number, it
That's
is.
heartbreaking.
And so just realizing the trauma that this youth has gone through and that your child has gone through, and seeking the support to be able to help them and support them, and realize that it's not a choice. They've had a
Right.
lot of trauma, a lot of brainwashing. They feel like they may be in love with their exploiter because there's a trauma bond there. Because often, if you think of Stockholm Syndrome as something that people are more familiar with, where they really bond with their exploiter.
Right.
And so it's
Their
hard for
captor,
them to
their
leave. And
whatever,
so
yeah.
they're not just running away out of choice, they're running away out of fear, or running away because they're scared for their family. Their families may have been threatened by their exploiter or the youth or somebody they care about. And so it's really important just to have that compassion if you're a parent, and then seek help and seek some education around it to know how to help your child.
I suppose it's also important for kids to realize that this happens to other kids, and that it doesn't make those kids bad kids. I mean, stay away from the situation, but it could happen
Yeah.
to anybody. So what else do we need to know about? What else do you want us to know before we run out of time about A Village for One? How about you, Mike?
Well, I think from my perspective is, there's a lot of people out there who a lot of times, as you said, may not have money to give, but I can think off the top of my head, people we're going to need in the future are contractors and electricians and plumbers and
Barter. I mean, not even barter, but be
people
able
who
to.
just want to contribute to the process, and I'll be helping to manage some of that in the process as we get to the point where we purchase land. I'm also a real estate broker, and so we are looking for some land. So someone may know of a piece of property out there right now that they would bring to my attention, and I can begin to get some zoning perspectives on it and stuff. So those are some things that somebody can do right now that doesn't cost them 1 cent. And again, I just reach out, I'm gonna leave enough time for Austin, but that men would get involved in this. And if you don't know how to get involved, contact us and I'll be more than happy to communicate with them.
Okay, I've got 1 minute left.
Yeah.
You're on,
Whatever
Austin.
your gift and talent is, go ahead and contact us, get involved, and also share what you've heard today. Share with everyone that you can speak to, because it's really important that we get the message out there.
Yeah, like you said, it's not a problem for other countries. It's right here. in our
It's right
own
here. It's our
community.
kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much for the work you're doing. It's fabulous. I'm sure you're proud of your daughter and
I am.
and her close friend. I think that's great that you're doing this. So I appreciate it, Austin and Mike, for you coming and talking about this tough subject, but it's something the community can make a difference
Yes,
in.
thank
So
you for having us.
Thanks for having
You
us.
bet.
Absolutely.
Thanks for staying with us and listening to this very important message. But don't go away. We'll be right back with more of Community Hotline.